My name is Margaret, and I'm 60 years old, living alone in the house my late husband and I shared for years. He passed away a few years ago, and life has felt quieter and slower since then. My days are filled with small routines, finding comfort in the familiar corners of this old house. One cool afternoon, as I was tidying up in the kitchen, I noticed a small puddle of water near the cupboard under the sink. Upon investigation, I found a slow, steady leak. At first, I ignored it, thinking it wasn't a big deal. But as it worsened, I decided to call a handyman. An old flyer in the drawer seemed like fate. I dialed the number and was told they'd send someone named Daniel over within the hour. While waiting, I decided to take a shower to relax. Wrapped in a fluffy towel, I was startled by a knock at the door. Daniel had arrived sooner than expected. I hurried downstairs, still in my towel, to greet him. He was in his early 30s, with a confident yet kind demeanor. "Hi, I'm Daniel," he said with a friendly smile. I led him to the kitchen and pointed out the leak. As Daniel worked, I couldn't help but notice his calm and focused energy. At one point, our eyes met, and I felt a spark of something unexpected. The air between us grew charged. For a moment, it felt like time stood still. "Are you okay?" he asked, gently breaking the silence. "Yes," I replied, flustered. We both laughed nervously, the tension easing slightly. After finishing the repair, Daniel stood up, his eyes meeting mine again. There was a quiet understanding between us, an unspoken connection. He hesitated for a moment before gathering his tools and leaving, promising to check on the pipe in a few days. I spent the evening replaying the encounter, feeling more alive than I had in years. A few days later, Daniel returned, ostensibly to check on the repair. This time, the visit felt less about the leak and more about us. We talked and laughed, the moments together feeling natural and effortless. Over time, he became a regular visitor, finding small excuses to stop by. We shared conversations, quiet afternoons, and an undeniable bond that grew stronger with each meeting. One evening, as the sun set and the room filled with a warm golden glow, we found ourselves sitting together on the couch. My head rested on his shoulder as he gently stroked my hair. "You know," he murmured softly, "I didn't expect this with you." "Neither did I replied, my voice barely above a whisper, "but I'm glad it happened." Daniel turned to look at me, his eyes filled with affection. He leaned in, and our lips met in a tender kiss. It was a moment of pure connection, a reminder that life can still hold surprises, even when you think all its best moments are behind you. As the weeks turned into months, Daniel became more than just a visitor. He became a part of my life, someone I looked forward to seeing, someone who brought light and laughter into my days. We shared quiet mornings, lazy afternoons, and countless whispered secrets. Together, we built a bond that transcended age and expectations. There were days when we'd take long walks, holding hands and talking about everything and nothing. Daniel shared stories about his work and dreams, while I opened up about my past and the memories I cherished. We laughed, cried, and sometimes simply sat in comfortable silence, content just to be in each other's presence. One day, as we stood in the kitchen preparing dinner together, he turned to me with a smile. "You've changed my life, Margaret," he said. "You've shown me what it means to truly connect with someone." His words touched me deeply. "And you've reminded me that love and joy don't have an expiration date," I replied, my voice full of emotion. Life with Daniel was unexpected but beautiful. He reignited a warmth in my heart I thought was long gone. Each day felt like a gift, filled with moments of joy, tenderness, and connection. In his presence, I discovered a renewed sense of purpose, and the realization that life's most precious treasures often come when we least expect them. As our relationship deepened, we began sharing more of our lives. Daniel brought little pieces of his world into mine. He introduced me to his favorite music. We'd spend evenings listening to old records while sipping wine. I taught him how to bake my late husband's favorite apple pie. We'd laugh over our flour-covered hands as we worked together in the kitchen. One memorable day, Daniel suggested we take a trip out of town. "Let's do something different," he said with a grin. We drove to a nearby lake, where we rented a small rowboat. The gentle sway of the water and the quiet rustle of the trees created a peaceful backdrop for our conversations. I hadn't felt so carefree in years. During the trip, Daniel shared more about his dreams. "I've always wanted to build a small cabin in the woods," he confessed. "A place to escape to, away from everything." "That sounds wonderful," I said, imagining the serene retreat he described. "Maybe one day you'll make it happen." As we rowed back to shore, he looked at me with a soft smile. "I think I already have everything I need to start." Moments like these made me realize how much Daniel had become a part of my life. He wasn't just a fleeting presence, he was someone who had brought meaning back into my days. The laughter, the shared dreams, the quiet companionship, they all reminded me of the beauty of connection. As time passed, we began to talk about the future. It wasn't about grand plans or promises, but about continuing to cherish the moments we had. Daniel once said, "Every day with you feels like a new adventure, Margaret." "And every day with you reminds me how much life still has to offer," I replied. One rainy evening, as we sat by the fireplace, Daniel reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, weathered notebook. He handed it to me with a shy smile. "I've been writing about us," he admitted. "Things I don't want to forget." I opened the notebook, my heart swelling as I read his words. They were simple reflections, memories of our time together, the first time he saw me in the kitchen, the laughter we shared over baking, the peaceful moments at the lake. It was a record of our connection, and it moved me deeply. "This is beautiful," I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for sharing this with me." He took my hand, his eyes meeting mine. "You've given me so much, Margaret. I wanted to give you something back." The intimacy of that moment stayed with me long after the fire had died down. It was a reminder of how far we'd come and how much we meant to each other. In those quiet moments with Daniel, I felt a sense of peace and fulfillment I hadn't known in years. He had shown me that love isn't bound by time or age. It's about finding someone who sees you for who you truly are. And in him, I had found a partner, a friend, and a love that had reignited the light within me.